This episode of Rewired is supported by Neuroni. Over 20 years of experience and more than 500 companies served, Neuroni helps companies grow faster with AI tailored to their business and embedded into real workflows that deliver measurable value. Neuroni helps teams reduce friction, improve decision-making, and scale with confidence.
I started to focus on only one thing, and one alone, to predict the next order of the customers of my customer. Why do we need to keep people in support roles? The software is not gonna, so any software company is not going to sell software.
Totally agree.
They are going to sell actions. The more disconnected you were until today, the higher the impact and the jump you feel.
Welcome back to Rewired podcast, a new episode sponsored by Neuroni. Today we are exploring what happens when a business starts reacting to customers' order and starts predicting them. Quite easy, right? Our guest is Cristi Movilă, founder and CEO of OptiComm.AI, a company that builds predictive AI systems designed to anticipate customer needs. Instead of simplify forecasting total sales, OptiComm analyzes individual customer behavior and external signals to predict what customers are likely to order next. This allows company to recover lost orders, prevent churn, optimize inventory, and plan operations proactively.
Rewired. Raw, real, unfiltered.
Cristi, welcome to a new episode of Rewired. We know each other as we are working on some AI solutions, and I think you just met Emil. So I'm really expecting a very interesting conversation. I must warn you, when you're going to hear Emil saying, "I'm curious," you're going to get a lot of questions, okay? So before we start, maybe can you tell us a little more about who are you and what are you doing these days?
Thanks a lot for inviting me, and really nice to see you both. And I'm absolutely sure that it's going to be a very interesting conversation, having the background that we just talked about. To be very brief on the background that I have, started in 2007 working as a 3D designer when I started the faculty on computer science in the University of Bucharest. Started to work as a 3D designer almost by accident because I needed money to stay in faculty. I didn't had the opportunity to be there. Then in 2008, I started, still in 2007, I started the first online store selling shoes in Romania, almost by accident because I didn't like the 3D designing thing.
Okay.
And I asked the owners of the company, "Hey guys, don't you want a online store?" And they said, "Why?" Okay, let's
Who's
create
going to buy a shoe online?
Let's create a website first. Okay, a website, it's okay. Then I started to add products. Then eventually it turned out to be an online store. It was built, the shopping basket was built from scratch by me. 2008, I migrated to Magento. And in 2008, I had the first contact with AI, neural network, trained to learn my handwriting in faculty. Just because to put my handwriting in notes so I can have the notes. That's it. No, I don't know, no commercials behind it, no nothing. Fast forward, stayed in that company until 2013. Then 13, 14, had the first contact with a big international company, Coty Cosmetics, leader in cosmetics at that time, number 1, 2, whatever. Still with the mission to build the online presence of their products.
Okay.
2 B2C stores, 1 B2B an application, and then off I go to another company to build their online presence. My first love, the shoe selling.
Okay, you went back.
Exactly. This time to the largest distributor in Romania was Auto Distribution that had multiple franchisee stores. The first one that we supposed to put online was Aldo. Same big international company, and we launched the first store outside their, let's say, core team management. It was built in Romania by a very small team that I hired to be part of the company. Stayed in that business, since 2018. Then the first 2 startups. One was called Rebuy, Retail Insights based on AI, video analytics, took the video stream from security cameras and put the online analytics to the offline world.
Okay.
That was in 2018, of course, ahead of times. With the guys from Lensa
Ahead of times
in Romania, of course.
Why? So didn't have traction with customers?
Yes.
So customers found it, meh, it's interesting,
Yes.
but not useful?
Yes, was interesting and not useful. They had challenges with security gates, for example. They didn't have, or they had challenges with the cameras. The cameras,
quality of the video on the cameras
exactly.
or access?
Access, quality, and some of them had security cameras mounted just for the sake of it.
Without
it wasn't
being
working.
connected.
Exactly, because they were mandatory by law, but they didn't need it to work by law.
You just installed.
Exactly.
That is strong.
Exactly. And purely like back in those days was insane to sell data or intelligence or to the offline world because they didn't felt that they need it or they didn't felt any pressure because it was still like a El Dorado. Everything was growing, everything was booming. Exactly.
Strong enough. And why would you need intelligence when you have sales?
Exactly. When you know exactly what you need to do. Why do you have to look at data when you know you are an entrepreneur? You are like a
and things just
GM.
Work like that.
Exactly. In the same time, we had a startup, me with the two founders of Lensa, same, like it was two startups when I exited Auto Distribution, was one for let's say technical parts or in engineering and another one for commerce because I was still part of the e-commerce landscape. That we closed first. So it was the first failed startup. And with this one, with Rebuy, I was acqui-hired by VTEX after 1 year of back and forth negotiation, whatever. So eventually we made a deal to run their operations in Romania and Poland. Fast forward, we expanded in majority of countries in Europe. We listed the company on the New York Stock Exchange in 21 after two big investment rounds. Then I stayed in the company for 2 more years after listed on the stock market. And then eventually I said, okay, not for me, hire accountants, whatever, to optimize the business, do whatever, because AI is going to change everything. Then end of 23, I exited the company. I said, okay, let's start over. And then I started to build OptiComm.AI. So we'll come to that, what we're doing. But basically, I understood that very few companies around the world, that's the underline, are using the data to generate value to their business. So I was part of, I don't know, more than 200 implementations of VTEX inside large corporations, so $1 billion+ in revenue. And still out of those 200 that I was personally part of, I don't know, other 1,000 customers of VTEX, whatever, that I heard or I knew or I indirectly was involved. Very few companies used data to the true value to draw intelligence out of data. And I said, okay, let's put data in a black box. Let's mix it with some AI and let's figure out what's going to happen. So next best action, next order, next something. So try to understand anomalies, try to understand customer behavior. That's what I started to do in beginning of 24. Same, a bit of rodeo, so started to do all sort of things, understood that I wanted to sell something and the customers wanted to buy a different thing. Then I invested in another company to sell to every customer whatever they want. Then did an exit from that company because I understood that that's not the way to go. And then eventually, end of 24, beginning of 25, I started to focus on only one thing and one alone to predict the next order of the customers of my customer. So that was basically the journey so far.
To predict the orders of customers, of my customers?
So I work with a customer that have recurring customers.
Yes.
And we predict the next order of the recurring customers. So let's say, for example, one of the customers that we started is a distributor. and has customers from the HoReCa industry, hotels, catering, and coffee shops, whatever, and restaurants. And they buy every week, every 2 weeks, every month, whatever. And we predict what they are going to buy, when, what quantities, what products. Another customer is a customer in grocery sector, so they have individual customers, but each of those individual customers buy frequently, and we predict when you are going to buy your products from the grocery store, and what, and we make sure that that's gonna happen. So it's more
we help you as well.
Exactly. It's more like a self-fulfilling prophecy. So we predict that you are going to buy, but still I'm going to give you a reminder. I'm going to give you to put a voice agent to call you. Hey, isn't it that you want to buy those things tomorrow? The first AI agent that was able to place an order via phone was in September. Couple of months before Google announced the Universal Commerce Protocol, and we were able to do that before. The technology was able to do that before, without payment, of course. In Romania, having a lot of promissory payment, that's okay, or B2B customers that have payment by contract, that's okay as well. And then we also help the sales agents serving those customers. So in B2B, that's a very interesting thing. Let's say behavior that we don't go directly to the customer, but we go to the sales agent that is serving the customer to somehow organize the sales agent. So it's like an actionable CRM that we help the sales agent understand where to focus, what to focus, when, understand what they missed. So missed orders, missed opportunities, and
this is
like
the low-hanging fruit for this particular customer that you have a
Yes.
meeting tomorrow. Make sure that you tackle this.
Exactly, something like that. We also help them prepare for meetings, so they can call a number. It's multimodal everything, so they can call a number and say, okay, I'm going to meet, I don't know, whatever company tomorrow, or today I'm on my way to this company. What can you tell me about this company? And they can, the voice agent having access to all the portfolio, everything, can tell you instantly, okay, this customer purchased 43 times, last order was in total value of these, those are the products that they didn't purchase, and all of those things. Pretty interesting, considering the fact that the sales agents are not very organized always, so they are always on the road, always...
they need help.
Exactly, something like that. So to cut it brief, I don't know, it took
how
a bit of time.
How custom is an implementation like this? Is it a black box that can work with minimal customization to a new organization, or you need a long period, 3 months of training on your old data and understanding your customers, 15 meetings of 2 hours?
No, it's almost plug and play. So the important thing, that's why I said we wanted to focus on only one thing and predict the next order of the customer. Then we need to connect only to the transactions data. We don't care if you had the inventory, if you don't have, what are your purchase orders, whatever. Those are after we predict what the customer is going to order next. And we connect only on the transactions. We have a couple of platforms already integrated for the e-commerce landscape. We integrated the SAP and the big ERPs, whatever, and the data warehouses. So BigQuery, Microsoft Azure, Microsoft Fabric is already integrated. So if we connect to the transactions data, we train the models based on your transactions. So machine learning, deep learning, actual training of AI. Then we predict what the customer is going to buy next.
1 second. I have a question here. Yeah.
Please.
So you are training based on the data of previous orders.
Always.
Do the orders and the products in the orders have semantic relevance or no?
Yes and no. We do a semantic analysis as
So
well,
I'm
but
meaning
it's
semantic in a
much-
large scope.
Yes.
Scope, like if this is a product that is used during rain, or is strictly mathematical association.
Yes and no, because we do some semantic as well. So we do some analysis to combine and to understand from the previous purchases if there are connections between products. But the more important is that after we predict, we have let's say a human in the loop. So we have a human layer. So we say, okay, the next order of Marius is going to be this.
Yeah.
Then we have also a set of rules and human actions that they try to understand, okay, but those products, we don't have it. Today we have this. So today we can sell this. It's like going to a grocery store and you took whatever apples you find there.
Yeah.
It doesn't actually matter what SKU or what code had the apple that you purchased before. So that's more connected to the, let's say, the product per se.
So the output that you generate is in fact an input to a human operator who decides what to recommend to that person.
Can be for large customers.
Generally, it is automatic.
Generally, it's automatic, exactly.
Okay, and I'm curious if you have this information, yeah? So if you leave that prediction in place and you measure it without doing any kind of action yourself, like recommending the product, how big is the accuracy considering an interval of, let's say, 1 week?
Depends.
I do not know.
Yeah, depends on the customer segment. So, for example, there are a couple of customers that are highly predictable, where you go 100%. There are customers that are kind of.
Yeah.
When you go, I don't know, 80, 70, 80, 90.
Okay.
There are customers that are
that are not predictable. Impulse driven.
There are customers that are lost always. That's why I said it's a bit of self-fulfilling prophecy, because you always have the biggest issue that commerce have nowadays is that everyone is fighting on your attention. So everyone in any given moment is trying to steal your customer. And let that sink.
Okay.
Everyone in any moment
is
trying
to
steal
steal
your customer. Exactly. It doesn't matter what sector you are in. It doesn't matter whatever. So in literally any sector, everyone is trying to steal your customer. So that means that if you fight on customers' attention, because you also focus on stealing other customers.
You need to be highly relevant.
Exactly.
And who has the biggest relevance factor
will
is
win.
the one who will win. So this is what I was curious about, the baseline. What is the baseline? So let's say if we are considering the two biggest segments, the one that is 100% and the one that is down to 80%, how big are they in general in the mass of the clients?
It depends on the business and the industry, on whatever, because for example, we have a customer that has at any given point 80% new customers.
Okay, so you don't have any kind of history, or you might have data points.
Job, exactly. Our job just to kind of group those new customers into a cluster that we had before. So try to understand based on previous customers' behavior where you fit in. We have customers that have the opposite, less than 10% new customers. And I don't know, we have a B2B customer that have less than 1% new customers. So they grow with less than 1% every month. And that's okay because they keep customers, the old customers or the recurring customers, they keep on having them. And it depends on the industry and it depends on your history as well as a customer. So that's also, it can literally go from 99% to almost flipping a coin.
Okay. And so let's say starting from which dimension as a shop, it would start making sense considering the investment that I need to make and the running costs that I need to do it in order to consider this as a potential option.
Exactly. So when we started, we said that we don't plug in to companies with less than 100 million euro in revenue per year, in turnover per year. So we said that the data is not enough.
Okay.
Then because we did all sort of optimizations, all sort of things, and we understood that you don't need to be relevant for all the customers. And also you need to somehow convince new customers to purchase. We kind of dropped the barrier. We have customers, I think the smallest customer should have 15 million euro in revenue.
15 million?
15 million, yes.
In revenue?
In revenue per year.
Okay, understand. And so if I'm running a shop which is generating 1.5 million, 2.2 million per month, I should consider this as an option. And if I'm doing these things for shoes, and I'm doing it at European level, Yeah, and I'm a small shop at European level. I'm only selling 2 million per month. Yeah, what would be the elevator pitch as a promise that you can make to me?
For shoes, fashion industry or whatever, we don't do elevator pitch because we don't go there.
Okay, good.
It's not predictable.
I've
The purchase is very unpredictable.
Okay, because it's impulse driven.
Exactly.
It's not need driven.
Exactly.
And based on your experience, what is the most predictable vertical?
Pet food.
Pet food. Okay, pet. That is correct. Pet food. Rational. Sorry.
Pet food is one of those. It's even
when you have small kids, I would assume. When
They're not
you're like
still.
kind of like that.
Pet is by far the most predictable purchase. Still very big.
Toy stores?
Not
No,
necessarily.
because it's
No,
fashion there.
I'm asking. Yeah.
No,
It's
so-
also
no.
impulse there.
B2B in the HoReCa industry or any distributor, any company that have
So similar to subscription, but not subscription.
exactly those type of things. Cosmetics, groceries, depends a lot on. There are a lot of niche products or niche categories like diapers or whatever. So different baby appliances or kitchen appliances or cleaning supplies or those type of things are, or different categories from the grocery sector. Those are also can be very high predictable. So you have a hypermarket. We work with a large hypermarket as well. And there are couple of customers or even part of the customer's basket is highly predictable. So let's say we have a group of customers where more than 80% of their basket is highly predictable. We push the 80% to you. Then we say, okay, isn't it that you want to buy those products tomorrow? By the way,
You can
you
do
can
that also.
do whatever, you can explore whatever other products we have, but we already prepared 80% of your basket. And that's also very, let's say,
Valuable
for
thing to do.
Yes.
So I'm just a little curious on the your driver. So I've heard your story, and what occurs to me is like you're a starter. So you like to start good things. You like to, put them on a feet, and then off you go to a new toy. But what's the driver in terms of looking at data? What's your motivation there?
After a bunch of implementations with this company, with VTEX and the customers, and also what happened during pandemic was the fact that all the companies started to collect large amounts of data. Then because we had large amounts of data, I think it was in 2024 that from the total data available end of 24, only 1% was collected before 23. So 99% of the data that was available worldwide in 24 was collected in 24.
Wow.
Yeah, that's the level that the industry is going.
Acceleration.
Exactly. Now with synthetic data and all of those things, I think the numbers are way crazier, but okay, we don't go there. But I understood that you can actually subtract value out of data. That was the insight, let's say. And I understood one thing that I followed on one of Jason Huang, the founder of NVIDIA, on a speech on a keynote that he had, I think was 3 years ago or something like that when I started this company. Before I started this company was that the only technology that is giving you information from the future, because literally all technologies, all softwares, everything that you have a look today is giving you pictures from the past. So when you look at data, you look to the past.
Yeah.
So you look at pictures, that's it. The only technology that gives you information from the future, be it predictable, not predictable, with bigger accuracy, with less accuracy, whatever, is machine learning. And he said that literally any company in the world will use machine learning because it's the only technology that gives you a look in the future. Again, it's debatable the level of accuracy and the level of confidence that you look on data in the future, but it's the only technology. And apparently he was right. Not only with this, but only with where nowadays the large language models can be used to predict the future based on unstructured data. So to your point, what we were talking earlier, structured data and looking at numbers and all of those things was available since 1950s. But nowadays you can look in the future based on non-structured data, and you can put unstructured data to work, and you understand patterns from, I don't know, news, trends, whatever is happening. So data that you don't
From
understand,
meaning.
you can't label.
You extract value and predictions from meaning and not from only maths.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So if previous methods were math, this is meaning.
Yeah.
Is much more human.
And since you started and you're looking into that, is there any example that really blow your mind in terms of the findings that you can share with us?
Yeah, for example, we had one of the first times that we had a look on predictions and different factors that are influencing customer behavior. We brought weather because it was for a distributor in HoReCa industry. So we said, okay, weather, of course, weather is impacting the HoReCa consumption. So people going to restaurants, going out, eating in house or out. We brought the forecast or how the weather was at the time of the purchase, the past purchases. Okay, it influenced, and we managed to increase the accuracy by a little. But then at some point we brought the level of precipitation, so the level of rain. So we didn't brought only rainy, sunny, I don't know,
but
clouds,
the amount of rain.
But the amount of rain, exactly. And the amount of rain influenced by, I don't know, at that point, 4% or 5% increase in accuracy, in precision and
They were selling to the restaurants?
Yes.
Or they were selling to hotels?
Both.
Okay.
All HoReCa industry. So hotels, restaurants, catering, and coffee shops. But the level of rain actually told us the duration of rain at that day, and it told us that if the rain was for a full day or the level of rain in different seasons gives you the exact duration of rain.
Okay.
Because the level of rain in autumn can tell you that it lost for a full day. The level of rain, the same level of rain it is in summer, it tells you that it lasted for 15 minutes.
Oh.
Yeah, they are connected, but it's a bit hard to understand when you are not looking at data.
So when I'm going to travel now for some bike weekends, I'll write you, just tell me what's the
So averages lie to you. That is
exactly.
And connected a little bit to your question, Emil, maybe not elevator pitch, but maybe why are you doing now OptiComm in terms of the business? You know, what are you trying to solve? And maybe like a kind of like a purpose question in terms of why do you have it?
Yeah, because being in this sector from 2007, like online, offline, so we are talking about commerce. There is a huge inefficiency in all of this sector. So I remember that I started an application in faculty that I said, okay, if you have something that you don't want or you don't need, you put in a pinpoint in an application on a map and you say, okay, I have, 10 apples or sneakers or whatever. So, and I have a look on that app. If I need something from, someone that is listing on that app, I can go there and take it. So as simple as that. And I found out that in retail, it's even worse than in our homes, that you have a lot of inventory that is going to...
scrapping.
Exactly. You just throw it away, especially in grocery sector. That's insane, the amount of the waste that is happening there. You have inventory in the fashion industry that you sell less than 90% or less than acquisition cost because it's simply unpurchasable, let's say. It's unsellable after the season went by, and it costs you more to store it. Yeah. You have customers that want to buy from you. You don't have inventory, but the other competitor has inventory. and the customer, you purchase the customer, so you paid for the customer to come to your shop, and that
The buying happens somewhere else.
exactly
Yeah.
the buying happens somewhere else. You simply didn't have inventory, so there is a huge inefficiency. There are studies that is more than 1 trillion per year inefficiency in simply because of out of stock, overstock, and simply not in time. The stock is not at the time of the purchase. Simply as that. So the
So it's
potential
distribution
is
and
insane.
information and stock at the same time.
Yes. It's only a matter of connecting the commerce. So theoretically, me being a math person, it's simple. So you just need to connect the dots. On paper, it's the equation and the mission is so valuable that you can put a lot of money in that. But also all the companies are competitors.
When you are describing the problem in the way you have described it, it seems that one of the best solutions would be, in fact, for all the shops to be part of a mesh. And when they bought the customer, to sell to him everything that the customer needs, even if they are collecting it from a lot of stocks, from a lot of other stocks from other shops. If they bought the customer, put it under brackets, bought the customer.
Yes.
Yeah. Is what you are going towards, or is like optimizing my own inventory, me making it just in time for the needs of the...
Traditionally in commerce, this is happening from antique times. So
in a way or another.
Exactly. So somehow customers are or sellers are serving more of the customer's needs.
Yeah.
So we had harbors, we had fairs, or we had points where you have commerce back in the antique times. So people would come there because that
you are
market
gathering in a market multiple suppliers.
Exactly. So that's what happened from the very ancient times. Then you had markets like how we see it now, like grocery markets. Then you have shopping malls and so on. Now marketplaces, online marketplaces, Amazon and the others. So traditionally this is happening. It's not necessarily solving the problem of inefficiency because basically you can't run a marketplace on your own. That was tried by Amazon, was tried by Walmart. Eventually they managed, or they turned into a marketplace and they have sellers, and eventually they just acquire the customer, and then you sellers fight for it and whatever, someone will win. Still doesn't solve the inefficiency problem. Still. So then we say, okay, the ideal scenario is to connect all the actors of those, but with let's say independent layer.
Yeah.
So somehow, for example, we are predicting what the customer will buy from a grocery store, but we are predicting also for the supplier of a grocery store what the grocery store will buy from the supplier. So eventually, if we go to the supplier and say, hey, dude, look, the grocery store will buy from you this, but they don't actually need this. Because look, we predict that they will have 10 customers, not what the buyer says that they will have 15 customers. So let's try to sell to the grocery store 10, and you produce 10 and you do all of this. So you literally need to touch the entire supply chain. And as you involve as many actors as you involve, the more efficient the overall chain will come.
Because you have more data?
You have more data and you need to transfer the data. So basically, for example, that was done by P&G, Unilever, and the literally very big companies.
Integrating
this exactly in a system that was called vendor management inventory. So basically what you see in the hypermarkets from Procter & Gamble or from Unilever or literally big players is not actually managed by the hypermarkets, is managed by the producer. Because they say, okay, we know what we invest in marketing, we know what we do in order to acquire customers.
You just provide the space.
So basically like this. This is from, 20 years ago, the system. But it's so little used and so...
scarce.
Exactly. So there are very few companies that can use that and can actually have the power to manage, to do that and to impose that to the big players. That is still a lot of inefficiency, even in their case, because they don't know what the competitors are doing. They don't know what So it's a
coming back,
big game. Yeah.
coming back to the original frame that I was looking into, like the 2 million per month company and so on and so on. How much would it cost me to implement something like this? And let's say it's a pet, it's a pet store, pet food store to be specific. Yeah. Okay. And what could I be looking into extra margin or pipeline improvement?
We look on what we when we started to implement, we looked at the bottom line, so impact on optimization, on you being more efficient with the inventory and everything. That was a waste of time because you actually needed to do something. So I gave you the insight, I gave you intelligence, but you actually need to be more efficient. You need to do an action. So that was, let's say, the insight was bad there. Then we started to impact the top line. So actual customers that are going to come over to purchase again, or customers that purchased and they missed the product that they usually buy. And you instantly tell them, hey, dude, you missed the product. And try to convince to recover lost products, lost orders.
Lost potential products that you wouldn't have known about in any way, but now we know about that.
Something like that.
So now we
track all of this.
Okay.
And we try to increase the top line as much as possible, to increase the frequency of customers, to increase the basket, to increase all of those things. So if you have a store with one of the platforms that were already connected, the implementation and setup and everything costs a couple of thousands of euros.
Like VTEX, Magento, and so on.
Exactly, those players.
Do you need to copy all the data in a data lake, or you are working on operational data?
We pull the data to our systems.
Okay.
To train, to run the machine learning and all of those things. You simply need to provide access to the transactional data.
Okay,
you don't need to have infrastructure of training, GPUs, and all of those.
Transactional data meaning like the
shop
transactions.
itself. Yeah,
orders.
Plug in the
orders.
shop.
Exactly. Orders, fiscal, the integration with the fiscal machines inside the stores and all of those things. Or the ERP, it's way easier. So it can be from a couple of thousands of euros to, tens, even 100 or more than 100, depends on the mess that you have in the data and what are your goals in terms of prediction, in terms of understanding the customer behavior and all of those things, and how deep you want to go. And then per month, it's also dependent on the volume, because we literally train every day. We do training on full data we don't do every day. We do maybe once a week or maybe twice a week, but we do inference. We predict every hour or every day, whatever, depends on the frequency that you need, right? And that can be from, 1,000 euros to 10,000 euros per month, something like that. So the cost isn't big. For example, for 1 million, if you pay 1,000 euros per month, it's decent.
Yeah.
Our goal is to give you 20, 30, more than 20x return of investment that you put.
Okay.
So that's the promise.
In top line.
20x in top line,
20x.
exactly. Because in bottom line, we can't measure
Yeah,
that, and it's not up to
accurate.
us.
Yeah, okay.
Of course, you always impact the bottom line.
So in this, you are including also the two types of actions. So you provide the information for the shop to inform the customer and to try to nudge him on the products that he should be buying today. And his job is to send the newsletter or whatever WhatsApp that he's doing. And you are providing also the touch point in the basket itself. Hey, you might want this extra product.
We started only with intelligence. Then we put a sales intelligence platform on top. So you would see everything, and you would actually at least have a control panel.
Yeah.
Then we added another layer, agents. So we build an agentic platform that you can deploy agents, and you can have those agents do whatever you want. So we can deploy voice agents, text, email, WhatsApp, whatever. So agents that can communicate.
Agents in Romanian.
In any language, in any whatever. So you can deploy those agents that will actually do the tasks. Those agents have two types of tasks. Internal for your employees to do different things, and external to touch the customer, to directly contact the customer. We also have a possibility to put on the website a chatbot that will actually be an agent that you can call, you can text, you can whatever. You can have a phone number, you can have outbound campaigns or outbound triggers that can call customer, hey, it's 1 year since your last purchase, congrats, you have a 30% discount. Hey, Marius, congrats, it's your birthday, you have whatever. So those type of agents and are actually literally
That is very strong.
powerful, yeah. So that's why it's not a promise, it's a fact. The objective is 20, it's always more than 20x return of investment that they are paying.
And what's the potential or customer reaction when they hear that? Do they believe you?
In Romania, it's pretty, so you call them, you say, hey, I'm the AI assistant of X store. Store.
Yeah, store. You don't, okay.
Exactly. People tend to forget, man. So I have no idea. I don't understand.
They tend to forget that they received a discount?
No, they tend to forget that you said that there is an AI assistant. The voice is so good and the interaction is so good that I'm constantly listening to conversations and it's insane. So I'm calling you and I say, hey, I'm the AI assistant of X store. I called you to remember that you have an appointment tomorrow to your doctor to do whatever. And you say, oh, okay, so I have an appointment tomorrow. Tell the doctor that I'm not coming. Okay. Do you want a brief appointment? Reschedule to do whatever? Okay. So, or I'm calling you and you say, no, please call me in 5 minutes. Then I have an auto trigger and I'm calling you in 5 minutes. The AI is calling you in 5 minutes. And you say, okay, just wait for a second to close the door or to do whatever. And you literally hear those in conversations. And it's mind-blowing how...
That they are totally not...
They forget.
So we are
they are aware.
We are totally past the Turing test. That is the...
Yes, of course, by far.
Yeah.
So I see, I don't know, in Romanian language, that Romanian is not that common, so and it's not that important worldwide, the Romanian language.
Are you using 11 Labs level?
Yes.
So
11 Labs, real-time API from OpenAI, Synthesia, so it depends on...
Synthesia for seeing the face, if you want to put it in a call.
Yes, you can have and they have their own models as well, for voice as well. So you can have literally an interaction on a very good level with this type of agent that people want to have that interaction, because most of the time the interaction with an AI is way better than the average of interactions with persons, with people.
Totally agree.
Yes.
And also more empathic.
Have you seen there is an experimental voice agent from Sesame Street? From Sesame. It's called. Have you called Maya?
No.
Okay, good. I'll send you the link. It's
Maya
strong.
is his friend.
Yeah,
Very
really
good friend.
So the emotional layer that is not necessarily so well expressed in 11 Labs or Hume or other systems. In Sesame experiment, which has a special LLM layer especially for that, for the expression, it's strong. It's huge. You've seen it, yeah?
Yeah, because you sent it to me and I had some conversations with Maya. Yeah, thanks for sharing. We also are testing with Cristi now an AI exit interview agent. Yeah. And I can tell you, the part related to emotions and the part related to empathy. It's much more than my people, for sure. I mean, sometimes like, come on, just move, and she's like, well, it's like, it's not she or he. It's like, exactly. It's like, yeah, tell me more about that. Like you don't feel that, yeah?
It's really important.
Yes, and it's insane. So what I constantly see is that people forget that they interact with an AI, and they are okay with that. And it was only a barrier from us or from the beneficiaries or whatever companies that we worked with, that they kind of feared the interaction. Of course, it's not working in 100% of cases.
What is the percentage that you estimate on the Romanian market? Like people going with the process until the end without putting the phone down and being frustrated?
depends on the customer. So it depends on if there are customers, if there are prospects, if there are your employees, if there are whatever. So it depends on the, again, like in the forecast, it depends on the category of people you are calling. If they expected your call, for example, we have a customer that we call to give you instructions for blood tests or for any tests that you are going to follow, like a big chain of clinics. And that people expect us to give a call and are following. Almost 100% of people that are called are okay with that. Don't close the call, listen to the instructions and all of those things.
And in the other cases, you cannot discriminate very clearly if it's because of the AI or because they are called without expecting that.
Exactly. Most of the time is not because of AI. So they don't, if, for example, if we split a database if we do a random A/B test and
have you done it?
And you call, our customers did it, and in 100% of cases, they say that we are better than the average of their call center. In 100% of cases.
Strong. How do you see the future of call centers in this context?
Strong.
People will throw tomatoes at me on street, Of course, it makes no sense, Because from the very beginning, when we started to implement voice and to do all of those things on, let's say, agents, the way the first persons that I hired to do call centers was in 2007. So I had people in all sort of support, call center, whatever, since 2007. So what we did back then, what you do today, is that you take a person, you give some procedures, materials, whatever that person needs to learn, and access to tools. And the best people that are trained and the best people that are let's say, performing in call center are people that have a better IQ, better knowledge, better whatever. Okay, so people with knowledge, a database, and access to tools.
And discipline, a bit.
Exactly, and discipline, procedures, whatever. So they need to follow. So the LLMs have way higher IQ than any of us. That's okay, done deal. We are not smarter.
We agree on that.
Exactly, the bird flu, how you say, right? The train went away. So you have that. Then the level of knowledge that a person can access is, again, far smaller, very far away from the level of knowledge an AI tool can have. Then access to tools, again, lost battle. So why do we need to keep people in support roles, especially because historically speaking, support was a transition role, right?
Yes.
HR person should say now, right? So why do you need to keep people in those roles? You don't need. And support roles being held by AI are, in all the cases, literally all the cases, more efficient than human. It's only a matter of access to tools and access to knowledge. That's it. It's not a matter of deciding. It's not a matter of whatever. So even the exceptions are treated by human because you don't need the intel to agent to treat exceptions. That's it.
Have you encountered, so I'm looking at strictly at this vertical of call centers and call center operations. Discussing with your customers, have you encountered resistance?
Yes, all the time, of course. Like literally in 100% of time of all the implementations, we see people a bit reluctant. They say, okay, we are careful. We test on 1% of the database. We test with 20 people. We test with 100. We test with 500. We test internally first, then we test externally. So, but it's okay. It's a learning curve. But again, if someone watching this activates in support industry or on any way, text, voice, whatever, run. Okay, so do something. Or at least if I would activate in that sector, I will try to implement a tool like ours, like whatever. So to make my job useless and to be able for the company to scale, to target, to touch a large number of customers, to be way more efficient. And then it would be good for me.
So right now you have, let's say Romania is a provider of call center operations. Yeah. And we are providing a
little
lot of
bit.
services in this area. Do you think that applying AI, would it still be an outsourced solution to other companies, or it will be internalized in the companies that are really feeling the need?
Both, I would say. So I see a lot of companies that try to internalize. So they try to train people and to bring people inside that can use tools from external, because simply you have one person that is a bit smarter, can move faster, can understand easily where the I don't know, the whole industry is going, and then they can implement faster a solution. And you also have other companies that were providing you call center operations, and now there is a competitor coming and say, hey, your invoice divided by 10.
Yeah.
And you sign with me now, and I give you
The better
efficiency,
services.
exactly, better service. Simple as that. So that's also something very possible, because it's way less disruptive for you as a company, you know, and as a customer, and that's short term gonna happen, because eventually they will want to take it internally. So one funny thing that I saw is that in the waves of let's say moving from outsourced to internal and to AI, all the companies said, okay, I'm moving from an outsource in Romania, whatever, Poland, and countries where the wage is higher, to India, Pakistan, to other countries where the wage is lower. That was the first point, so you can transfer knowledge, so they can then implement AI.
All right.
So they didn't
it's a
transition
stepping
directly.
stone.
Exactly. So they didn't transition directly to AI, because they will find resistance from you. They'll say, okay, no, I'm transitioning to
Interesting.
a more efficient outsourced, and you would say, okay, let's see what I can do, whatever. So the transition would be easier.
So regarding the vision for the future for the company itself, so where is the company today? Where do you see it at the end of the year, and where do you see it in the, let's say, in 5 years?
So today we have the prediction engine, very well mounted. This is something that we are working for a bit more than a year. We have the command center and the sales intelligence platform, and this that we are helping the sales agents and like all the customers are seeing. And we have the agents. With the agents, we can serve customer support, we can serve outbound, we can serve all sorts of crazy things. Those combined are actually giving you a closed loop. So we connect to the data, and then we give you, let's say, an insight or action that you can act on it.
But we can act on it
But we can
ourselves.
act on it, exactly. We can act on it, like, and literally close the loop. So that's opening a conversation, and it's opening a universe that is like literally the rabbit hole that we are saying to all the companies that we are connecting to, that we are connecting the data. Because of this agentic layer, a whole universe opened. And right now we are expanding, I don't know, even in verticals that we didn't thought about it. For example, to have the interaction on the website, chatbots and outbounds and all of those things, we didn't thought about it, and it wasn't on our radar. But now we are literally providing actions to our customers. One insight that I strongly believe in is that software is not gonna, so any software company is not going to sell software.
Totally agree.
They are going to sell actions. So that's something that I strongly believe in. I bet all my money on it, you know. So this is something that the industry that we are fighting in right now. We are in the actions industry. So we are literally plugging different actions and different things that we are not providing a platform again. So that's literally very important.
I'm very curious about the thing. Yeah. Okay. So now I have an allergy even saying it. Yeah, I'm feeling as it comes. Yeah. So nice. Considering the fact that the value that, in fact, the cost is decreasing with development and everything, how do you see the pricing model change in the future for what you are selling today? Because probably you are selling today something similar, a combination between implementation and cost per month or something like
Exactly,
this.
subscription. Yeah.
How do you see it in future?
Going down per action. So, for example,
So changing it per action.
Yeah, not necessarily. So going down per the number of actions or number of, I don't know, different capabilities that we give to our customers. So for example, today, when we developed the sales intelligence platform, we realized that we basically built a CRM. Because we gave
You needed everything. So it's a CRM for marketing qualified leads, in fact. No, because they're
for
selling.
customers.
Yeah,
No,
for customers. Yeah. Okay,
So,
good.
so we understood that we connected all the customer history, customer data. We did some analysis, we did some grouping, we did some
Everything
different
that you would
things.
need.
And then eventually we put a level the sales agents. Sales agents would have portfolio. Then on portfolio, they can have also new roles and all of those things. And then we found out that we built a CRM. And the customer that we had and was in discussion with Salesforce said, okay, but I don't need Salesforce anymore.
In fact, you constructed a sales department,
Yes.
not a CRM.
Yes, exactly. An actionable CRM.
And
That
that is a sales
yes.
department, a plug and play sales department
Exactly,
for your...
exactly. So then we understood,
is
okay,
good.
those type of customers are just getting more value from us. Currently, we don't look on number of customers that you have, number of agents, like virtual agents. We don't look at number of people, like the usual license that was sold by, I don't know, even Romanian companies that we know of, or international ones, or the big players, Salesforce, HubSpot, and so on. We don't do that. We don't construct on number of users, number of contacts, number of actions, number of all of those things. We don't construct because we are true to our, let's say, mission and to our saying of we literally give you value. The only mission and the only objective is to give you value. If you put more customers, we give you more value, and then it's okay for both of us, right? We don't necessarily have an increase in cost if you're putting 1 million customers or 2 million customers, because the storage is not that important. Okay, we have an increase in compute. That's why I said from 1K to 10K, because we have customers that have billions of transactions. So then the compute is a bit, the compute is a bit high. But it's important that we don't look. One thing that I never understood: if you have an agent doing a task, or if you have 2 agents, why those guys double the cost, man? That's something that I literally never understood. From the very beginning, when the whole story appeared, I said, okay, maybe it has an increase of cost. Then I had a look on Salesforce. I was a customer of Salesforce on the previous company. And then, okay, one more salesperson. Okay, guys.
Because this
literally,
that was the pricing
that was the pricing model.
Yeah, so...
But it wasn't sustainable, that's for sure.
It was sustainable as long as the context remained the same.
Correct.
Yeah, now
Correct.
it's
Now
clearly not sustainable anymore.
Correct.
Yeah.
Have any other curiosity before we go towards closing?
A lot more, but I think we'll be doing another 3 podcasts.
No, I'll still let you have one more.
No. It's okay. It's okay.
It's okay.
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah.
The podcast tradition that we stolen with integrity from somewhere else and then we adapted to ours is having a question at the end of the podcast, of the episode to the guests. And the question is, one thing that you automated in your private life that you can share.
Okay. Automated in my private life that is not connected to work.
That is very difficult.
Yeah, exactly, because I sleep, I wake up, I work.
Yeah.
Literally that. I would say that my training routine should be, so I'm constantly giving feedback to one of the agents that I have. I have an OptiComm.AI agent that is totally isolated, totally independent, has its own WhatsApp number.
Okay.
So its own Yoxo subscription. And I'm texting, I'm giving...
what do you mean, sorry, it has a WhatsApp number? How do you do that?
Number,
Reaching him on WhatsApp.
0407, whatever, exactly.
My friend in the dark, I'm keeping him in the closet, in the basement.
Exactly.
Okay.
So it's my assistant, my Jarvis, my smart assistant. So I'm constantly giving feedback on how I feel and it's learning my routines, it's learning my eating habit, it's learning, okay, my energy level. I'm not used to wear smartwatches, so then I'm giving feedback as I feel. So I felt a bit exhausted, I went training, I did that, I felt more exhausted. Or I went training, I did a bit of cardio, I did a bit of that, I felt more energized. And then when I go training, it searches in my calendar and it sees that I'm scheduled to go to gym later today. And it will say, okay, how do you feel today? Because you have a training. If you feel a bit less energy, you will do that. If you feel very energetic, you will do that. So kind of.
Nice.
That's a basic thing.
A basic.
Yeah, basic.
I need to learn that basic.
Yeah.
It's pretty standard. But another, let's say, thing that I'm always telling to people that that follow different materials or different places that I go, is that the most important mission that we have nowadays is to subtract value out of the AI tools that we have available.
Which is
to
huge.
Put them to work. Because basically, exactly, the level of intelligence that we have right now, so that was developed yesterday, that we have today, it's insane.
Yeah.
If world stops today and no one will develop nothing new, the impact and the change that is going to happen in the next 2 years, I worked in, and I work in this sector, I can't imagine.
That's powerful.
So that's
let's say the insight that I have is I'm holding some AI courses for C-level in organizations, and when people are in front of what you can do today as a non-developer,
exactly.
they feel like learning to do magic in Harry Potter style.
Exactly.
Yeah, so it's Harry Potter level.
Exactly. The more disconnected you were until today, the higher the impact and the jump you feel. And the more disconnected you are going to be, the higher will be, and the less you will understand. So that's why it's important to put it
Soon to use.
to work, exactly, to use it. Basically, if you use ChatGPT, if you use an assistant, if you configure OpenClaw, if you use any tool to build websites, to build whatever, anything, like literally anything, because it's a muscle that you train.
Yeah.
You understand what it can be, what it can do. You understand how it can do, what it will deliver. So you understand those type of things, and it's like magic, as you said.
Yeah.
It's like you have a table full of magic potions, and you do all sorts of different things.
Also, considering that we mentioned OpenClaw, what we need to specify is that OpenClaw it's for people who are experts,
Exactly.
as
Level
it's a
8, 9
very
out of
risky
10.
tool
Yes.
to use. So you should try it in a very
Closed
containerized environment where
Exactly.
it cannot do damage to you or to others. Yeah, because there are documented cases.
So it's kind of like don't try this at home for some people.
Yes, at least OpenClaw, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. If you
So-
didn't heard about it so far, maybe you shouldn't try
Yeah, okay.
it.
So you shouldn't take a pit bull in your house.
Yeah.
That is the idea.
Yes.
If you don't know how to train
To
dogs,
train dogs. Okay.
keep the pit bull outside.
All right.
We agree on that, yeah?
Correct, yes.
Okay.
See, thank you very much for the
Thank you
time
so
and
much.
for everything we discussed here. And
I liked it very much. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Yeah, I learned a lot today.
we'll look forward to see also the episodes that you guys are preparing.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for everything, and it was a very nice discussion.